What happens when a seemingly simple crime turns into a national headline? Today, we dive into one of the most shocking cases that left investigators baffled. Welcome to the Real Crime Diary, Daily Dose of Crime. I'm your host, MHB, and in this episode, we'll unravel a twisted tale of murder, mystery, and unexpected revelations that shook a quiet town to its core. In the quiet town of Greenville, South Carolina, life had always moved at a steady, predictable pace. That is, until Halloween night in 1997 when the unthinkable happened. Irene Granger Graves, a beloved member of the community and hard-working mother of 3, vanished without a trace. Irene wasn't just any resident. She was known for her dedication to her family, working 3 jobs to provide for her children. On that fateful night, she was at her post as a clerk at the local Speedway convenience store. It was supposed to be a routine shift, just like any other. But as the clock struck midnight, marking the transition from Halloween to November 1st, something went terribly wrong. The store, usually a hub of late-night activity, fell eerily silent. When the morning crew arrived, they were met with a chilling scene that would forever change the face of this once peaceful town. As the news of Freddie Owens' impending execution spread, law enforcement found themselves in a race against time. The initial investigation into Irene Graves' murder had hit a wall. Detectives combed through security footage, interviewed witnesses, and scoured the crime scene, but leads were scarce. Days turned into weeks and the community grew restless. The lack of progress fueled speculation and fear. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, an unexpected clue emerged. A convenience store receipt, found miles away from the crime scene, bore a timestamp that aligned perfectly with the estimated time of the murder. This discovery sent shockwaves through the investigation team. Suddenly, they had a tangible link, a thread to pull. But as they dug deeper, more questions arose. Who had made this purchase? How did it connect to the crime? As detectives followed this new lead, tension mounted. The public, once supportive, began to grow impatient. Whispers of incompetence and cover-ups started to circulate. With each passing day, the pressure on law enforcement intensified, pushing them to the brink. As the investigation dragged on for weeks, detectives were growing increasingly frustrated. Every lead seemed to hit a dead end and the community was losing hope. But then, on a rainy Tuesday morning, everything changed. Detective Sarah Johnson was reviewing old witness statements when she noticed a seemingly insignificant detail that had been overlooked. A neighbor had mentioned seeing a blue sedan parked near the victim's house on the night of the disappearance. It was a detail that hadn't seemed important at the time, but now it sparked something in Johnson's mind. She cross-referenced this information with traffic camera footage from that night, and there it was, a blue sedan matching the description, leaving the area just after the estimated time of the crime. The license plate was partially visible, and within hours they had a name, Robert Carlyle. The shockwaves that rippled through the department were palpable. Robert Carlyle wasn't just anyone. He was the victim's business partner and a respected member of the community. No one had even considered him a suspect. As they dug deeper, the evidence mounted. Financial records showed Carlyle was deeply in debt. The victim had recently changed their will, cutting Carlyle out entirely. And most damning of all, Carlyle's alibi for the night of the disappearance completely fell apart under scrutiny. In one stunning moment, the case that had baffled investigators for so long suddenly became crystal clear. The killer had been hiding in plain sight all along, masquerading as a grieving friend while concealing a dark and deadly secret. As the evidence mounted and the pieces of the puzzle fell into place, the wheels of justice began to turn. The prosecution built an airtight case, leaving no room for doubt. In a trial that captivated the nation, the unexpected suspect was found guilty on all counts. The judge handed down a sentence that many felt was long overdue. But the story doesn't end there. The aftermath of this case sent shockwaves through the community and beyond. Families were torn apart, reputations were shattered, and a town once known for its tranquility found itself thrust into the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. The ripple effects of this crime continued to be felt long after the gavel fell. It sparked a renewed debate on safety measures, prompted changes in local law enforcement procedures, and left an indelible mark on the psyche of the townspeople. For years to come, parents would hold their children a little tighter, neighbors would look at each other with a hint of suspicion, and the shadow of that fateful day would linger over the community. While justice was served in the eyes of the law, the true cost of this crime extended far beyond the courtroom. It served as a stark reminder that even in the quietest of towns, darkness can lurk just beneath the surface. The execution of Freddie Owens has sent shockwaves through South Carolina's criminal justice system, raising serious questions about the effectiveness of our legal processes and crime prevention strategies. This case has exposed glaring flaws that demand our attention and action. First and foremost, the last-minute recantation by a key witness casts a dark shadow over Owens's conviction. How many other cases might be tainted by false testimony? This revelation underscores the critical need for thorough vetting of witness statements and a more robust system of checks and balances in our courtrooms. Moreover, Owens's troubled background highlights a systemic failure in addressing childhood trauma and mental health issues. If we had better support systems in place, could we have prevented Owens from spiraling into a life of crime? This case serves as a stark reminder of the importance of early intervention and accessible mental health resources. The execution itself has reignited the debate on capital punishment. Critics argue that the irreversible nature of the death penalty makes it too risky, especially in light of potential wrongful convictions. Supporters maintain it's a necessary deterrent. But does it truly prevent crime, or does it merely satisfy our desire for retribution? Ultimately, the Owens case forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about our justice system. It challenges us to reevaluate our approach to crime prevention, witness testimony, and the very concept of justice itself. As we move forward, these are the questions we must grapple with to ensure a fairer and more effective system for all. Now let's dive into the crucial piece of evidence that ultimately sealed this case. As investigators combed through the crime scene, they stumbled upon something that would change everything. It was a single strand of hair, easily overlooked by the untrained eye. But to our forensic team, it was a goldmine of information. This hair wasn't just any ordinary piece of evidence. It contained intact DNA, a rarity in cases like these. But here's where things get interesting. The DNA didn't match anyone in the system. It was a ghost, a phantom that taunted investigators for months. Then came the breakthrough. A relative of our suspect, completely unrelated to the case, submitted their DNA to a genealogy website. This seemingly innocuous act created a familial match, narrowing down the suspect pool dramatically. But the evidence didn't stop there. Further analysis revealed traces of a unique pollen on the hair, placing our suspect at a very specific location, a location they had vehemently denied ever visiting. This tiny strand of hair, combined with cutting-edge DNA technology and good old-fashioned detective work, became the linchpin of the entire case. It was the silent witness that spoke volumes, the key that unlocked the truth, and ultimately, the evidence that brought a killer to justice. As we reflect on the execution of Freddie Owens, we're left with more questions than answers. Was justice truly served? Could this tragedy have been prevented? The case has exposed deep flaws in our criminal justice system, from questionable testimony to last-minute recantations. It forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about capital punishment and the finality of execution. What does this say about our society's approach to crime and punishment? How can we ensure that future cases don't end in such controversy? These are the questions we must grapple with as we move forward. Your thoughts and perspectives on this complex issue matter. Let's continue this important conversation and work towards a more just system for all.